Anybody at all. It doesn't have to be anything grand. Just one thing, one statement, one thing you've learned so far, one opportunity that has changed things from me, and something that
Good evening, sir.
has resonated with you so far. I think who's that person? Samsung. Okay,
Good
yes,
evening, sir.
Samsung is the name. Yeah, good evening. Do you want to
Abdul.
share your experience so far?
Yes, sir. Just a little thing, sir.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I hope you are doing well, sir. And I hope your day is going well. So it's just a little thing. Since I joined by network, I've been able to meet with people that can ask real questions on any issue I'm facing in any application. Because I do enter your DM also, but Idris is there. A lot of people to ask questions, anything you are facing. A lot of people is there to ask questions. Before I joined the network, there are a lot of questions. Maybe I want to write essay. I'm facing issue with it. I want to write the SOP. I don't know how to write it. A motivation letter self. I want to write. I don't know how to write it. I'll just enter your DM. These are second workshop. So we've not really done any workshop on writing essay, but at least I will go to people's DM that I know these people have been achieving a lot in this and they've been in this field for a while. So when I come to a DM, you help me. So this has really helped me a lot. Even there are some applications now that when they ask for essay, I will just look at it as I have this kind of essay. So I will not even bother myself again and I will copy it, I will reframe it, then submit without disturbing you again. So this has really helped me a lot too in my applications. Thank you very much. So this is what I want to.
Okay, that is wonderful. That's a wonderful experience. Although I didn't get your name, please, what's your name?
Okay, I've not signed in my account to Zoom. That's why I just joined. So my name is Abdul Rakib.
Okay. Can I call
Yes.
you Abdul?
Yes, you can call me Abdul.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you very, very much for sharing your experience, Abdul. So with that, we'll be starting formally. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jehoada Fasi. A lot of my friends like to call me Sayano. It's short form for the vitamin B12, Sayano Kobalami. And I will be your host together with Sophia this evening. Our speaker and the entire Pioneer team is getting ready or is ready to take you through a wonderful, wonderful webinar this evening on how to write a scholarship winning essay. And I hope we are ready. So if you are ready, please type or use your emojis on the comment section. So I'd love to see at least 10 before I proceed to introduction of the speakers and every other Pioneer member in the house. So I want to see I am ready in the comment section. Um, your emojis, your favorite emojis, anything to show me that you are ready. Okay. I've seen Awao Azimat. Anybody else? Okay, I've seen Miriam Bello. I've seen Abdul. I've seen, I cannot pronounce that name. I don't want to blunder it. Forgive me if I do. I've seen Usong Uduak. I've seen Victor. I've seen what's that name? Tafi the Tafika. I've seen Abigail Ede, I've seen Ansaya, I've seen Suraya. I'm sorry if I do not pronounce your name properly. Please forgive me. Um, who else? Who else is ready? Please drop your favorite emoji. Tell me you're ready in the comment section. Okay. Okay, I've also seen Semiloba. Okay. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for your responses. Before I begin and before I introduce our speaker, I would like to introduce, if he is on the board, the founder of the Bar Network, Sir Warit Ademola, to say hello to everybody before I begin. Tawaris, are you on the
Oh,
call?
yes, I'm the call. Good evening,
Okay,
everyone.
okay. Okay,
Am I
thank
audible?
you very, very much. Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I think our
Oh,
speaker is on the call already.
yes, he is. So, thank you for the salutation. Like, like he said, our speaker is already on the call. He's ready. So I would go briefly through his profile. Give me a few seconds. So today our speaker, permits me, my device is a bit slow. Okay. Yes. So today our speaker is Mr. Success Ndubisi. He is a driven and accomplished individual with a bachelor's of technology degree in microbiology from the Federal University of Technology, Mina, where he graduated with first class honors. He was recognized as the best male graduating student in his department and faculty and received two Vice Chancellor Awards of Excellence. Additionally, he is a recipient of the prestigious Top 100 Africa Future Leader Award. Success is also a 2026 Mandela Rhodes Scholar. If you know what that means, I think you would start making rounds of applause. Currently pursuing his master's studies at the University of Cape Town, South Africa. He is passionate about creating social impact, evident in his volunteer work with the Roots to Pilayo Educational Foundation, where he promotes access to quality education for all children. He is also devoted to connecting students across Nigeria to mentorship, global opportunities, and collaborative leadership. Success leads initiatives that reintegrates out of school children across Africa back into classrooms. His achievements demonstrate resilience, academic excellence, and leadership in education and social development. Outside of his professional pursuits, Success enjoys singing, gaming, and football, showcasing his creative and community driven personality. Ladies and gentlemen on the call this evening, please join me to virtually welcome your clapping emojis with your comments, Mr. Success Ndubisi, who will be taking us on today's session, how to write a scholarship winning essay or a winning scholarship essay. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Bassi. Hello, everybody. As rightly mentioned, my name is Success, and while I was editing out my profile, I was wondering if it was indeed me, but well, I just have to say thank you very much for that great welcome. So going right down to it, today I'm going to be talking about scholarships, scholarship essays, how to draft a winning essay, how to avoid sounding just like everybody else, and how to make your story stand out. So, before I proceed, I would just like to quickly confirm if I can be clearly heard. Just one person, please confirm if you hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay,
I can hear
great.
you, sir.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. All right, so before I go into writing scholarship essays or how to draft your essay to win the hearts of whoever is reading it, your reviewer or the scholarship committee, I think the best place I like to start from is just talking about scholarships in general. Because to me, I believe that understanding one, the purpose of the scholarship you're applying for, and two, the concept of that scholarship would help you before you even put your pen down to the paper and say you want to write an essay. So, like I do say, there are two types of scholarships, worldwide, no matter the angle you look at it. There are scholarships that are need-based, and there are scholarships that are merit-based. So merit-based scholarship simply means, scholarships that are awarded to applicants based on merit, whether you are someone who has a second class upper or someone who has a CGPA of, 3.5 and above or 4.0 and above, or for some other scholarships, just limit it to applicants who have CGPA of, 4.5 and above, whatever it is merit. So they're awarding this scholarship to you based on how they deem you, academically, fit for the kind of award they want to give out. And then there's the need-based scholarship. Need-based scholarship, it's not as if they don't, value academic excellence or academic progress. They do. However, they tend to, tilt more to how in need of that scholarship you are. Of course, there are, scholarships that combine the two. They want um you to showcase financial need, and also they want you to showcase academic prowess. That's another kind of scholarship. But then you may start to wonder and think that, okay, having known this information, how then am I to know how to tailor each, essay to the kind of scholarship I'm applying for? I'll tell you. So the first thing you need to know when applying for scholarships, and before I go further, please, I'm not really familiar with this tool. I'm more of a Microsoft Teams person. I would have loved to put up a poll. I don't know if that's possible on Zoom or if that's just limited to the moderator or the admin. I don't know. Mr. Moderator, please, is there a way or are you granted the ability to put up polls?
I'll check that and get back to you, sir.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Yeah. So as I was saying, for you to start, before you even begin on writing a scholarship essay, there's something you need to ask yourself. What kind of scholarship am I applying for? One mistake a lot of students make is thinking that they can use one stone. One stone in this regard means one essay to kill maybe 100 birds or 1,000 birds. The birds in this case meaning scholarships. They think that they can just use and reuse one essay and apply for thousands of scholarships and then just expect that one will make a hit. That's a very wrong approach. Of course, you may get lucky because luck, sometimes just shines on some people, but there needs to be a strategy. There needs to be a strategy. So let's assume that you want to apply for RTF scholarship. As the moderator mentioned, I volunteer at the foundation and I also able to be, part of the scholarship committee. So let's just make use of it as an example. The RTF scholarships are, you know, open to those who show financial need as well as who have proven themselves to be academically sound. So what we are looking for is not just you writing how much you suffered. You want to see how you can use that story as something to build up to one, your career, two, your drive, three, your motivation, and four, your future aspirations. I'll take that again. Scholarships like the RTF, as I mentioned, are looking for students that are able to showcase both that they are financially disadvantaged and two, that they're academically sound. You get. But those two, you have to demonstrate them in your essay by finding a way to make that financial need and your drive, your motivation, your future aspiration have a link. So you have to find a way to link it, making sure that while you are explaining perhaps your struggles or the academic, financial challenges you've experienced, you are finding a way to link it up onto the point where you are starting to put yourself out there as someone who is a fit for this scholarship. So I'll give an example. While reading essays for the scholarship that was opened earlier this year, I noticed the pattern. And this particular pattern was, every almost every start of every essay I read, start with something like having grown up in the northern part of Nigeria, having grown up in the southern part, having grown up in the village of Ibadan, having grown up. The amount of times I saw that, phrase at the start of their essays, it just made me, give up in quotes, meaning that anytime I just saw an essay start with that phrase, I just moved to the next one. And trust me, it might not be your fault, but it just shows that there might be nothing unique about your application because it's just like a rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But then there was someone whose essay, the start was very unconventional. It didn't start with growing up or I've always been a child I've struggled with. Started with something unique. Started with a quote from Peter Obi actually. And for me, at first, I paused actually and took a look at that, and I was impressed because the correlation between what he said at that start and what he followed up with made perfect sense. I actually wrote a recommendation up for him to be considered. So one thing you have to consider when trying to apply for a scholarship, strive to be unique. I do say this time and time and time again. There are a lot of people that are going to apply for, scholarships that you are also going to be applying for. Don't think that, even if you hoard the scholarship application link and say, oh, I'm not going to share to my friends because I feel, if I share to my friends will apply it too, and I'm not going to have much chance. It's a lie. Chances are your friend also saw that scholarship link and also thought the same thing. For every scholarship opportunity you see out there, just know that there are going to be thousands upon thousands upon thousands that are going to apply. And for the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, which I was fortunate to get by God's grace, when I was at the interviews in Cape Town, they actually told us that about, I think, 16,000 or 17,000 of us applied, and then there were 3 rounds of review, you know. So your essay that you wrote is going to be reviewed by 3 independent bodies. So the first body is going to review your essay, recommend you, and you move to the next stage. Then the second body, if the second body doesn't like your essay or feel like your essay is not up to par with the others, you will get dropped. So there are some people that got dropped at the second round, some at the third round. So, your essay will pass through 3 different independent reviewers. So for some, for undergraduate scholarship, some might not, pass through such rigorous screening, but it's just to give you an idea of how, the level of scrutiny your essay is going to face. So when you think about this, now the question is, how can I write an essay? So the first thing, the first step in writing an essay, know who you are. That's number one. Know who you are. I would have loved to, share my screen right now, but I'm currently on another meeting, which, is highly important for me. So perhaps I'll share the material to Mr. Warith at the end of the meeting so that he can, distribute it to the rest of you. But however, I'll try my best to be as clear as possible in explaining. Yes. So the first thing, be yourself and know yourself. So when I say know yourself, what do I mean? Each one of us on this call, we are about 50 participants. Each one of us on this call have unique characteristics. There's something that make me me. There's something that make you you. So something that stands out for Mr. Warith might not stand out for, let's say, Miss Mary or Mr. John or even Mr. Bassi. Everybody has their own peculiar abilities. And one mistake you would make in writing an essay is trying to copy. Let me use that word copy. Trying to copy someone's style or copy someone's way of writing, or just even deciding to copy word for word what somebody says. It's not really going to help. So one thing I'll advise that you do sit down, think about it, and just wonder, who am I? Who am I? In the academic front, in the aspect of leadership or whatever it is. Just ask yourself, who am I? So once you think about it, I think that period in which you sit down to process is going to give you a lot of clarity. Clarity in the regard of you will start to recognize qualities that you might have not previously seen. I'll give another example then. When I was applying for a scholarship during my undergraduate days, I sat down and I wondered, what am I even going to write at all? Because at that point, I didn't have any tangible leadership experience. The only thing I had in my arsenal then was just the fact that, okay, I was a first class student. And I knew quite well that, for most scholarship bodies, that might not really be enough. So what did I do? I started to sit down and quantify the things I've done in the last 3 years from where I started my schooling up until, where I was. I started to ask myself, okay, I am here right now. What have I contributed to? What initiative have I helped in? I might not have necessarily led this initiative, but did I contribute? Yes. I noted that down. I took a pen and paper. I wrote it down. Okay, I contributed in, Pad a Girl initiative. I wrote that down. I put the numbers that, they were impacted 50 girls in my school, blah, 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 blah. Move to the next one. Okay, what have I done? Okay, I've been responsible for tutoring a lot of students in my undergraduate days, right from 200 level. I've been in charge of tutoring. Okay, I wrote that down. That's another thing. And at the end, when I kept itemizing those things, at the end of the day, I realized that, okay, at success, you thought that you actually had nothing, but you actually have something to work with. And that's the thing. I speak with quite a number of applicants almost every day. And one thing they tell me is that, oh, so I don't really have anything to write, I've not really done anything. I tell them, you've done something. The only thing you need to do is think. Just try to think about it. You understand that you have actually done something. So that's the first thing. Know yourself. And then when you are going into an application, that's number 2 points now for those that are taking notes. Number 2 points is know your strengths. So when you are knowing yourself, the second point is knowing your strengths. You get. I understand that all of us on this call might not be first class students. There are some of us that are, close to first class, 4.0, or, some of us are in 3.5 or even 3.4, around those ranges. And trust me, there are a lot of scholarships that you might want to disqualify yourself from applying because you feel like, okay, I'm on 3.4 out of 5.0. Okay, I'm not qualified. You are actually. There was someone that I interviewed alongside my other colleagues at RTF. I think that was 2 days ago. Yes, that was 2 days ago. So this particular candidate, he was actually very smart, and I will explain. So, when we opened the RTF scholarship for this year, we opened it for those in undergraduates, postgraduates, vocational secondary schools, and polytechnics, if I'm not mistaken. So there was this particular candidate. He applied for the vocational category, and his interview 2 days ago was supposed to be for the vocational category. So when he came into the interview and we asked him, okay, tell us about yourself, and he was saying that he's actually in the university, and we were asking him, okay, why did you choose to apply for a vocational category if you are in a university? And he was like, oh, I'm going to be honest, though, I know that my CGPA did not reach, because for the undergraduate category, the cutoff mark was, you have to have 4.0 and above. But he said he had less than that. He had around 3.3, 3.4. So he just figured that it's better he applied for something that is actually feasible. And to be honest, I personally was impressed with that kind of initiative because it just showed that level of smartness for him to, be able to think that far and be able to do that kind of thing. And I recommended it for a scholarship because I felt like someone who has the ability to think to that extent, has shown, potential. So why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing this story because when you're applying for scholarships, there are things that you need to think about. Number one, academic excellence might not really, 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 really be your strongest point because while you are on a 4.5, you are thinking of those that are on 4.9 or 5.0. But then, what will be your strongest point? Think about it. For some, it might be leadership. For some, it might be community involvement. For some, it might be the fact that they belong to associations or have certifications, or for some, it might be their research experiences. I'm going to give another example again. Myself, while I was applying for the Education USA scholarship, that was in I think January last year, 2025. The application was open for Education USA. I don't know how many of us are familiar with it. If you're familiar with it, kindly put your hands up. I think there's a raise of hand emoji here, or just react if you are familiar with Education USA. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So I see a number of us knows about it. So for those of us that don't know about Education USA is an education opportunity funds program where they cater for all of your fees for your application to admission to US schools, to pay for your flight, settling allowance, everything. Basically, almost like a fully funded scholarship, or it's just like a bridge for you to get a fully funded scholarship to study in the US. So it's a really, really good scholarship and very, very, very competitive indeed. So when one of my colleagues sent the application link to me, and then I went, I went to the website of the um, scholarship, of course, the organizer of the scholarship. I just wanted to see how it looked like. And that's a point you need to note as well. Whenever you see a scholarship, don't just rush to apply. Calm down. Try to observe. Go to the website. Look at what they're about. Look at everything about them. Go to their scholars, read about the profiles of previous scholars, and from there you can able to get an idea what they are looking for. But to be honest, when I went to the profile of Education USA, I was I was intimidated. I was really intimidated because I was seeing people that have sat for SATs, people that have already sat for, some have sat for GRE already, some have so much research experiences, published maybe 3 to 5 papers, and I was like, how am I going to compete with these guys? Because I knew that people like that are still going to apply in my cohort. So for me, at that point, I didn't have any research experience. That's around last year, January. I didn't have any research experience. I had not written any paper. In fact, I had not even published my own project. So it was that bad. So the only thing I had was the fact that, okay, I'm a volunteer, I have leadership experience, and I graduated with first class with, good PGS or whatever. So that is the only thing I had in my arsenal. So what card would I play? That's the first thing I thought to myself. What card would I play? Because I cannot come to these people writing that I have done this, I have done that, I have research experience, which will obviously be a lie because I don't have any research experience. So I knew that there have to be a way that I can capture their attention. So the angle I came from for that particular application was financial need. So that's the angle I came from, financial need and motivation to study. So at this point, I think it's better if I show you a practical example. So I'm currently searching for the SOP I used for Education USA. So I'm going to share my screen in a bit. Kindly bear with me, please. Okay. All right. So let me quickly share my screen. And please, when you can see my screen, kindly let me know. All right. So please, if you can see my screen, kindly just tap the reaction button one more time, please.
Yes, we can see it.
Brilliant. So this is the SOP, or you can call it a personal statement that I wrote for Education USA. So as I mentioned, I didn't have any research experience, and I just had to, come with something that I felt was going to help my life. So this was my intro. I've always considered life to be about this moment. So I'm going to be breaking each part of my personal statement down bit by bit so that you understand how you can go about yours. So you can see, I didn't come and say something like, oh, I've always struggled, or, I come from a low-income family of 12 or 13 or 17. I didn't say from coming from a northern, background or something, although I stayed in the north most of my life. I didn't use all that because I know that a lot of candidates might use that line, it might be different or maybe a little bit adjusted, but I know a lot of people are going to use that. So I needed something that was going to give me a bit of a hook. So when you're writing an essay, you have, I would say, less than 5 seconds to convince whoever is reading it that your essay is going to be worth reading. You have less than 5 seconds because once a reviewer picks up your essay, the first is to scan. He just looks through and maybe just glance at the first five or the first sentence in essence. He just glance at the first sentence and just be like, okay, is this worth my time? Before he moves on. So you have to make sure that your opening has to be great. And which I try to do with my opening. I always consider life to be about its moments. So this might leave the reviewer thinking, okay, so what is this guy trying to say? So I moved on. One important moment in my life, which was responsible for my career choice, was the occurrence of the Ebola virus disease pandemic in 2014. While in the lockdown imposed by the government, I was intrigued as to how a virus, which could not be seen by the naked eyes, could be responsible for putting the whole country on a standstill. This experience and my inquisitiveness about the Down syndrome influenced my decision to study microbiology, blah, 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 blah. So let's focus on that. So what I try to do with this paragraph is not only give a hook, I also try to give a little bit of a backstory. So what I try to do with my essays, and which I would advise you to do with your essays as well, try to approach it from the aspect of storytelling. For me, you can never go wrong with storytelling. People love stories. People like to see what story you have to share. People like that a lot. And for me, it has always worked. Even when maybe I didn't actually get it, maybe I went to the interview stage and maybe I messed up in the interview stage, at least I would know that, okay, my essay was good enough to get me to that stage. You understand? So you have to always think about it as if you're telling a story. Just as somebody asks you, hey, tell me a story about your life. You have to give a backstory leading up to where you are. And then before you cannot think of, talking about things that are going to happen to you or things that are happening to you currently and what you aim to achieve in the future. You understand? So that's what I tried to do here. So the first thing I tried to do was to give a backstory to my choice of study. And now I'm going to be completely honest. For me, microbiology was not really what I thought of doing at first. I didn't wake up and say, oh my God, microbiology, Jesus Christ, I'm going to study microbiology. I want to be a microbiologist. No, I actually intended to study something else entirely, but along the way, a lot of things happened, and I found myself here. Get. But one thing about life is that, as they say, if life throw you lemons, you make what? Lemonade, or what do they call it? So I didn't try to just put myself down and be like, oh, since I didn't get to the course I was going for, I'm going to hate where I am. I tried to find passion in what I was doing. So in putting your statement of purpose or your personal statement, you have to make the reader or your reviewer in question, in this case, believe that you actually thought it through. You actually had enough thought. You really put a lot of thought into it before you decided to study what you study. Imagine you say you want to study medicine, for instance, or you are a student of MBBS, for instance. Now, you have to give a solid proof why you decided to study MBBS. You cannot just say, my parents have always wanted me to be a medical doctor. No, that's not going to sell. You get. So there are two ways to approach it. If you want to give a background to your um, course of study, you can approach it from the angle of solving a problem. Maybe you would, mention a problem that's prominent in your community, mention a problem that's prominent in your, state or in Nigeria as a whole, and then you mention how that problem created, a void in you that made you to study something that would help you solve that problem. For medical doctors, even if you're a lawyer, you can say the vast difference in status quo, or maybe there's a problem in the criminal justice system in Nigeria, which have made you want to, contribute to this regard. If you're an engineer, a mechanical engineer, for instance, you can say, okay, you can go in the aspect of innovation. Maybe there's a part of mechanical engineering that you want to contribute to that will make mechanical engineering better in Nigeria. So there are a lot of things you could actually play around with. So you don't have to just, stay and maybe just use a template that somebody used and just copy and paste. No, think about something personal to you. That's why the first thing I mentioned is knowing yourself. And the second thing I mentioned is knowing your strength. So in knowing yourself, a part of what you'd have to know is why you are doing what you are doing. Why are you actually studying the course you are studying? Forget about whether the course was given to you or the course was what you applied and you got. Ask yourself, why am I studying this particular course and study? Who am I doing it to help? What problems am I trying to solve? So when you think about this, it's easy for you to just put that in a sentence and use that as, say that, okay, this was the motivation I had that led up to my decision to study what I'm studying right now in the university. Or if you graduated, you can say why I studied what I studied. Okay, so that was what formed this entire paragraph I'm highlighting. This is what formed what I decided to write. So I thought about something that led up to my decision to study my course of study, and I wrote about it. Yes, for me, it was the occurrence of Ebola virus diseases, and I think I was around just 3 or just 2 when this happened. Again, so it made me intrigued. It led up to my decision to study microbiology, and I graduated. So now this second part of this first paragraph is important because it shows how I'm able to link my decision to study this and how I was able to find passion to stay at the top of my class. So this is what I did. With my motivation, if you want to ask what motivation, you can see that I've already answered that question up here. If you want to ask what motivation, this was my motivation, the occurrence of Ebola virus disease. So one thing you should try to avoid one more time in your essay writing, try to avoid leaving gaps in the mind of your reader. Your reader should not read a part of your essay and be like, oh, where did this come from? Or, how manage, how am I just saying this? I'm confused. You should not leave your reader confused. Each part of your essay should already answer a question that wants to develop in the mind of your reader. And if you know that what you're about to write is going to raise too much questions or too much loopholes in your story, try to, in essence, just leave that out. Leave that out. So, as I was saying, I moved on to the next part of my paragraph. With my motivation, it was easy to find passion and retain a strive for excellence, which helped a lot as I imagine best make great students, blah, 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 blah. So what I did here was to link the part where I said I had passion for my course of study and use that and say, okay, since I had passion for my study, it was easy for me to achieve excellence because I liked what I do. Then I committed to what I do. I committed to what I did rather in school, and this is the result. So if the card you want to be playing is the card of financial need, this is your shot to do it. this first paragraph. This is your chance to do it. If the card you want to be playing is the card of academic excellence, this is the part for you to do it. So for my application for Education USA, I actually played the card of academic excellence, but for my application for MRF, I played the card of financial disadvantage. So I'm going to switch to the tab of MRF. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see it? Personal statement, I have a dream. If anybody can see that, can lead the case, please.
Yes, yes.
Brilliant. Thank you. So this was for MRF. So as I said, same person, which is me, using two different cards, adapting to what I feel is going to give me an advantage. So for Education USA, I'm using these two scholarships now to prove a point, and I'm going somewhere. So please just try to follow me, and I'm mindful of the time as well. So for Education USA, as I mentioned earlier, before I decided to apply, I had a look at their website, look at what they were out for. Education USA specified that, okay, they actually value academic excellence a lot. They value a clear path to career. And then, they also consider financial disadvantage, blah, blah, blah. But I knew that, okay, that one might not really, really, really be important. What they are looking for, number one, Bunge, is academic excellence. So I decided to follow that card. But for MRF, they have different parts that they are looking for. Number one, education. That's you have to be strong academically. Number two, leadership. Number three, reconciliation. Number four, entrepreneurship. So you have to education, you have to prove that you're academically sound. For leadership, you have to show that you have examples of you being a leader. For reconciliation, you have to prove that you are someone who is self-aware, knows that it's not perfect, and always have this ability to have to mend wrongs. And then for entrepreneurship, you have to show something that you have started or something you have contributed to or aim to contribute to. And then finally, they also consider those who are from humble backgrounds and all that to help them on the fully funded scholarship. So I looked at all those things and I knew that, okay, while my HC has to cover all these parts, I have to come up with a game plan, and this is what I use. So for this, I'm going to emphasize, or let me say, reiterate it again. A hook is your best bet. Look, the hook I used here was, I have a dream, as Martin Luther King Jr. once said. I have a dream. For me, even when I gave other of my colleagues to review my essay before I submitted it, almost everybody I gave were like, oh my God, your intro is good. Okay, you can improve on this, you can improve on that other part, but please don't allow anything change your intro. And I was like, okay, good. Because that's what I was aiming to achieve. Because this intro, for me, I felt like is going to make anybody wants to read further. So I'm going to read further. I have a dream, as Martin Luther King Jr. once said, a dream that refused to be shut down as I scaled through my challenging teenage years. Years in which I slept nights, not knowing where the next meal will come from. This one was an exaggeration anyway, but anything that works, it works. Years in which I went to school unsure of my continuity due to difficulty in paying my fees as a mom. My mom was a teacher, my dad, the pastor of a small church. Amid this, I believed I could achieve my goals regardless of my background. My goal to make an impact in the healthcare sector in Nigeria, especially in combating genetic diseases. So using this, I'm going to share another lesson with you again. That's another point. So I don't know, for those of us that are following, how many points I've raised now? I know I've raised up to 3 or 4. The first one is knowing yourself. Second one, knowing your strengths. The third one, always have a hook, something that can keep your reviewers interested in your application. And number 4, in case I've not mentioned number 4, I'll just mention number 4 now. Let your essay be in form of a storytelling. Let it be as if you are telling a story. your essay should not be disjointed. Maybe you're writing everything all at once. You're writing both your academic, your leadership, your community involvement all in one paragraph, and then your second paragraph will now be you saying, I need the scholarship because of this. That's the wrong approach. So, because if you're approaching somebody for money now, I'm not saying you're going to beg somebody for money. Let's say you're looking for somebody to invest in your business, for instance. You have a proposal. What are you going to do first? You're going to first make sure that you present your product in a good light. You have to make sure that the person you are pitching to likes your product, likes you as a person, before you can now tell the person what their investment is going to do for you. That's how it works. And I do tell people that scholarships are investments. Scholarship is not a free money. Scholarships are investments into you as a person, your career or your future. For the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, for instance, now scholarship is worth more than $30,000. Who will carry $30,000 and just give you just like that without feeling that you are worth that amount of money? Nobody. Nobody's going to give you that amount of money if they don't feel like you're worth that investment. You understand? So for somebody to entrust you with that amount of money, you have to show that you have proved yourself to be worthy in time past. You have shown that potential. You have shown that track record that will make them know that, okay, if I'm handling this amount of money, investing in this person's education, I am sure that I'm doing Nigeria a favor. I'm doing his community a favor. I'm doing Africa a favor. And I'm seeing this person as someone who is going to be someone who is going to lead, who is going to be a great leader in the future. That's what they are trying to tell you. So when you don't get a scholarship, the first thing you should ask yourself is did these people see me as worth their investment? You understand? Did these people see me as worth their investment? If your answer is no, maybe due to your presentation or how well you presented yourself in the interview, then you know where the problem is coming from. You understand? So before you even get to the interview stage, your essay is your one shot in making sure that you show these people that you have a great track record, whether in the aspect of your academic performance. Of course, academic performance is always important. You have to make sure that they know that if they're investing in your education, you are going to keep up what you have already started. You're going to keep up what you've already started. They have to make sure that, okay, you have a clear career path in the aspect that, okay, once they're investing in you in the next 3 years, in the next 4 years, in the next 5 years, they are seeing you as someone who is going on to achieve all those goals they are telling them about. And finally, they're seeing you as someone who, if they invest in you, you also have the capacity to impact others, meaning that you show the ability to also contribute to one thing or the other in your community. So, in essence, what I'm just trying to say is, pardon me, scholarships are an investment, they're investment in you. So, you have to make sure that whatever it is you are writing is worth that investment. Okay? So, I'm not going to be dwelling too much or reading the whole of my essay because I know that that's going to be really boring. And yeah, and so I'm just going to be giving examples, dropping hints, giving you pointers and all that. And I hope that helps. And of course, I'll be making reference to the personal statements I wrote, but I'm not going to be reading it out verbatim. Okay, so rules of essay writing. Rules of essay writing. First rule, avoid writing above the word count. First rule of any scholarship is always obey instructions. Instructions are there for a reason, and for most scholarship bodies, they are usually excited when people break the rules. When people break the rules of either, they say write in so-so font or so-so font style or so-so word count, and then they go above it. They're happy because that's an automatic disqualification, and they won't even bother to read your application because they feel like, this one is already showing that it doesn't follow the rules. There's no need for me to waste my time on this person. So if a scholarship says write 500 words, please write 500 words. So if the scholarship says write 750 words, please write 750 words. For me, I always try to be on the safe side, and I'll show you how. When they say I should write 500 words, this is my word count, 499. I always stop one word below the word count. I think for Education USA, it was also 500. I stopped at 498 or something. That's what I always do to make sure that in any case, I am safe. Let me show. I think I have another example. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Reconciliation. Yeah. So this is another example. I think this particular essay was supposed to be for 750 words, and I stopped in 745 or 749, I think. So it's always better. It's better if you are below than above. Because once you are below, you are sure that no matter what, you are safe. There's no way that they are going to get you flagged or disqualified for planting that rule. So you are absolutely safe. So that's the first and most important rule you have to know. Always try to stick to the word count. Don't go above the word count, please. No matter how much you have to share, don't go above the word count, because at the end of the day, you might be wondering, oh, but I wrote my best now. I did my best. What happened? That might just be the explanation. So the second thing that I want to give you as a rule of essay writing is try to read on the scholarship before applying. Because at the start of this call, I mentioned that they are need-based and they are merit-based. Try to know which it is. So knowing whether it's a merit-based will make you understand if you should talk more of your academic prowess, the awards you've won, all those things. See, I'm going to tell you about when I was much younger in school, I always try to be shy. I used to be shy, of talking about myself or what I've won and what I've won and all that. See, I'm going to tell you for a fact. See, even if they call you proud, be proud. Be proud. Write about yourself as if you are writing about a king or a prince or something. Write so much about yourself that when you look at what you wrote, you smile and be like, "Hi, I want to meet with this." You understand? You have to write that well about yourself that it feels as if you are over packaging, although not over package, but you have to make yourself look really, really good. Any awards you've won, the maybe commendation letter you've received, recommendations you've received, even if you took a second place in a competition or whatever it is, put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Because you just have to, use the card that will make you have advantage over your competition, over your competitors. I mean, you get. So with that said, the third thing, rather, I would say is know which part of your life to put in an essay, because even if I mention write about yourself in detail, write about yourself in detail, it's not every part of yourself or your story that you're supposed to put for some scholarships. There are some parts that you're supposed to just leave for some others. You understand? So I'll give an example again. There are some scholarships that they don't want to see your sad story. Honestly, they don't want to see it. They see it as, not something that really aligns with them. So what they are more focused on is how you can convince them that you're a bright enough student to be awarded the scholarship. So in that kind of thing, even if you want to go, the little bit of sad story, just make it seem as something that built up to your motivation to where you are right now. So I'm going to give an example again. So there are two different ways that many students write essays, and I'm going to show you which one is the wrong approach and which one is the right approach. So student A, I'm going to read, just saying this from my memory. Student A writes an essay like this. I come from a really poor family, and for as long as I can remember, There were times which I've gone hungry for days, for weeks, not knowing where the meal will come from. I try my best to be okay, but the truth is that I don't know where my life is going to head to. I don't know what my future holds. Even right now, as a secondary school, let me say, second year student of architecture in Federal University of Akure, I wonder how I'm going to turn out if my life continues like this. So I'm applying for this scholarship because I feel that this scholarship will help my journey. I feel that this scholarship is going to be something that will help my tuition and at least to give me a source of joy in this infinite sorrow that I'm facing. That's student one. Student one just use the approach of financial need. Student two that I'm going to talk about now is going to use that same approach but in a different way, and I'm going to tell you how. This is student two. Despite coming from a challenging background, I've always felt that challenges makes me stronger. My challenging background, right from my primary school days, simply motivated me to want to do better, to break out from the endless circle of poverty. This singular reason is why I stayed committed and motivated, putting hours upon hours in my studies, which paid off as I graduated as the best student in my class. Moving on into the university, where I studied microbiology, or let me say biochemistry or something, I maintained this hunger, but then this hunger changed as I stopped thinking of just myself, but what I can also do for my community. So this student, that's student two. So what student one did was just to talk about themselves, their problems, their problems, their problems. What student two did was to talk about the problem, but not settle on the problem. Student two made sure that he showed that struggle from a place of strength, meaning that he used that condition as a stepping stone to where they drew motivation to either be a good student or a best student, showing academic resilience and all that. So I'm going to throw the floor open now. Left to you, which of these students would you feel is deserving of the scholarship? So you can unmute your mic and just say something. Is student one or student two?
Student two.
Okay. Why do you think student two?
Because the student two painted his or her she painted her sad, like financial. She painted it positively. The person painted her resilience positively. So that's why.
Thank you very much, Mary. That's a correct answer. So that's how scholarship works actually. Nobody is saying that you should not talk about your struggles, but your struggles should be only talked about from a place of strength. Make sure that as you're saying, oh, you've experienced this, you've experienced that, make sure that, oh, at the end of the day, your story is leading to somewhere. Not that, oh, you just say that you have suffered, you have suffered, you have suffered, you have suffered, please give me this money. As I said, scholarship is not free money, it's an investment. You understand? Even if we know that in Nigeria, a lot of us are in the middle class or in the lower class and all that. And indeed, there's a lot of struggles. But trust me, these people hear this story every single time. They read this kind of stories every single time. And you have to make sure that you are sounding different. You have to make sure you're sounding different. So the next part, or let me say, I'm heading towards the end. I'm just going to mention two more points, leave the floor open to questions, because to me, I feel the best way to learn is, by you asking and responding to them and having much time to respond to them as well. So the next thing I would say is knowing how to section your essays. Knowing how to section your essays. for me, the formula I always use is to dedicate the first paragraph to talk about my background, my motivation, and my academic excellence. And I will make sure that after that first paragraph, I'm not going to talk about anything academics again to the end, till the end of my essay. I'm not going to talk about anything academic. So my first paragraph is devoted to saying, you know, what motivated me to study what I studied and why the motivation helped me to be a good student, giving all my best up to the point of graduating with a CGPA, having 5.0, whatever, vice chancellor's list for 10 semesters and all that. So that's where I stop it. And the reason is because once you keep hammering on just one point, hey, academic, you feel like you have nothing else to offer anymore. And it becomes irritating, to be honest. It becomes irritating. Know that human beings appreciate, good things, but they don't want you to be rubbing it in their face. Any small thing, oh yeah, I'm a first class student, anything, I'm a first class student, anything, I'm a first class. Even in your everyday conversations, you notice it. There are a lot of people around you that appreciate the fact that you're a first class student, but you should not make it, something of, actually, you don't know I'm a first class student, I'm a first class. People are going to get irritated by you, not because they hate you, no, but because the way you are presenting it to them, you are presenting it from a place of maybe you are trying to reproach the other people or trying to make the other people feel less of themselves, which might not, of course, be your original intention, but that's the image you are painting. So the same thing with essays. If you're talking about a section, once you finish that paragraph and you have talked about that section, don't mention it again. There are a lot of things you can talk about. Okay, so for me, this first paragraph, I talked about background, motivation, and my academic excellence. Once I finished and put this full stop, for the rest of my essay, I'm not going to say anything academic excellence again. Excuse me. So the next paragraph is where I talked about leadership experience and community service. So first paragraph, academic excellence, second paragraph, leadership experience, community service. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my essay. My experiences have opened my eyes to the struggles of others around me and given me the motivation to do my part to help. This I started from my immediate community. In university, I contributed to the Pad a Girl initiative, which was organized to provide free menstrual pads to ladies as a means of support. I also organized tutorial classes for students, spoke in seminars and conferences in service to my department student body, which earned me a certificate of recognition from my head of department. Volunteering at the RTF, I've also been able to lead and participate in programs, yada, 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 yada. I'm not going to read all that. Yeah, so this second paragraph is where I decided to talk about my leadership experiences. And I'm going to give you this trick. Let's say it's a trick, and let me just say a tip, free of charge. I always mention having a thing that will give you an advantage over your fellow competitors. Yeah. So this is one thing that can give you a great advantage. In essence, ordinarily you are not allowed to attach links or images or something, but there's a way you can do it. And if you are familiar with Google Drive, you can gather all your certifications, your awards, your recognitions, put them in a folder on Google Drive, change the privacy to public, copy the link, and put it in a hypertext like this. So if I click on this C here now, it's going to take me to the Google Drive that I created for the purpose of the scholarship. So the reason I created this is because pictures, videos, images, they tell a lot more story that you can possibly do in text. So what I put in this Google Drive were images of me either volunteering somewhere, images of me actually doing these tutorials, images of me distributing these parts, the certificates of recognition I mentioned here from my head of department, I included it here. Other letters of commendation from my registrar, because I got a commendation letter from my registrar as well. and the VC as well, convention letter. So I put everything here. So making sure that I remember that this thing has a word count, and there are a lot of things I want to say that I may not be able to say because of word count. I just carry everything and put inside here. So that's the tip I'm going to put. I'm going to give you free of charge. You know that you have a lot of things you might want to say, but word count might not be on your side. Just put a paragraph that will lead to it and then put it inside there, like I did here, which earned me a certificate of recognition from the head of department. So I put it here. But apart from the certificate of recognition, I put everything I talked about in this paragraph. So I'm going to tell you that for free. So that's a tip that you can take home for today. So for my third paragraph, because this was for MRF, of course, I talked about my entrepreneurial role as an administrator of icon student. So yeah, that's from the third paragraph. So the last paragraph, which I'm going to dwell on a bit, is you now stating why you need a scholarship in very simple terms. Note that your start to the end of the scholarship has to demonstrate why you are a fit for the scholarship, but your last paragraph is you telling them that you need the scholarship and why you need the scholarship. So don't start your essay with telling them why you need the scholarship. That's the wrong approach. Again, I mentioned that it's just as if you are going to pitch your idea and then you are starting with, or maybe you want to do, I'm going to use the popular example that is on the internet, the one with Bella and Speed. You are looking for collaboration with somebody and you say, I'm big, I know, but let's do something. You are already telling the person that you are big. If you are so big, then why why are you looking for collaboration? You understand? So don't start your essay with you saying, I need this money because of so thing. I'm applying for this scholarship because I want to buy books or buy a laptop or something. Don't do that. Start it with you showing value. Make sure they see that value from your first paragraph to the third paragraph. Then it's only when you're at the last paragraph that's when you can now make it known what you use the scholarship funds to do or how the scholarship will help you. For me, I know that the MRF, of course, MRF is a fully funded scholarship with $30,000. So, but I didn't mention the money because, of course, Africans or even human beings in general, if you want to get money from them, don't mention that you're after them for the money because you are going to scare them away. So this is what I did. As an aspiring leader who desires to contribute more to healthcare and education, the Mandela Rose Foundation Scholarship Program presents a wonderful opportunity to me. I am positive that the scholarship and the leadership program offered by the foundation will be pivotal towards my growth and help me in attaining my goal of driving positive impact in Africa, just like the icon Martin Luther King Jr. So one more thing you will pick from, which is my final word. One more thing you will pick from the ending of my interview is that, ending of my essay, is I mentioned the leadership program. Now, this leadership program in the scholarship it's not there. They didn't write it that they're offering a leadership program. But how did I know that there was a leadership program? I knew this because I went to the website to go and check, which I always am reiterating again. Make sure you always go to the website to see what the foundation is all about, their values, everything they hold there before you put pen to paper and start writing. So having had the idea that these people, MRF, offer a leadership program because they're not just about giving you money, they want to groom you in an intensive workshop. You have workshops, you have outreaches, training you to be one of Africa's best leaders, of course. I knew that, okay, this is something I can use to win them over, for them to know that I've actually gone to the website and read about them and proof that, okay, I'm someone that fits into their program. So instead of me saying, oh, scholarship will help me as the money will help me in, furthering my education, no, I approach with the angle of the leadership program will help me in, will be pivotal towards my growth and help me in attaining my goal of driving positive impact in Africa. So in conclusion, I would say scholarships essay, scholarship essay, there's no one size fits all. To be honest, there's no one size fits all. Nobody can categorically tell you that I'm going to write an essay for you right now, and that essay is going to be you. Mm-mm. And for me, I always feel like writing your essay yourself is always the best way to go because nobody can tell your story like you. Of course, somebody can help you write it and you get a scholarship, but in the long run, you see that nobody can tell your story like you. So look for something unique about yourself. That's the most important. Look for something unique about yourself and then follow the structure. Follow the structure. And I'm going to conclude with saying the structure again. First, the structure, paragraph 1. Make sure your first paragraph talks about your background and why you are studying what you are studying. That's if you are going from the angle of motivation to study. Okay? But if you are going from the angle of financial need, you can start with the financial struggles you faced. Briefly, don't overemphasize. You talk about the financial struggles you faced and how it helped you build momentum, build motivation for what you're studying, and how it helped you push you, to the academic excellence or your desire to help other people. So your second paragraph will now be you talking about your leadership experience, no matter the leadership experience you've held. So, okay, yeah, for leadership experience, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, Warwick. I know I'm, far ahead of time. But I have to say this, for leadership experience, you have to make sure that you use something they call the STAR framework. STAR framework, STAR, STAR framework. What does STAR framework mean? STAR, S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, R stands for result. So in your leadership, when you're writing on your leadership skills, community involvement, talk about the situation means what was the problem. Your task means what did you do or what were you trying to do to solve that problem. The action is that what impact were you able to, imbibe, or let me just say the objectives you did and you acted on those objectives. That's action. So situation is a problem, the task is your objective, what you had to do. Your action is how you acted on those objectives, and then your result is the result of your action. So make sure that in all your writings, this is covered. Your leadership experience, make sure that staff framework is always covered. Your situation, your task, your action, your result, everything. So your third paragraph, you can now talk about, any other thing, or if it's a really short essay, you can now start to conclude on what you aim to achieve in the future. You get if this was not an MRF scholarship, now that I've used this third paragraph to talk about what I aim to achieve in the future. I think I did that in Education USA. I think I did that in Education USA. Yeah, I did that in Education USA. I did that in Education USA. So, yes, yeah, I did that in Education USA. So you can use your third paragraph to talk about what you aim to achieve in the foreseeable future. And then your last paragraph will now be when, how the scholarship will help you. So on this note, I would be stopping here. I'd like to thank all of you who have been attentive, and I really, 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 really appreciate your attentiveness. So I'll be leaving the floor open for questions, if anybody has any. Thank you very much once again. Okay, I don't know if anybody is saying anything. Moderator, I think you're on mute in case you're saying anything. Warith, I think you're also on mute in case you're saying anything.
Mr. Success, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Success, thank you so much. We at Eva Network really appreciate you for this wonderful presentation. It's really go a long way in supporting our members in writing their essay towards winning opportunities. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. So, to our dear members on the call, we will start the question and answer session. But just before that, I would just like to also like add to what Mr. Sources has said regarding scholarship essay. You should know that no scholarship organizer will invest so much in you, maybe in dollars or naira, just because you've suffered and suffered and suffered a lot. Nobody invests in pain. People only invest in potential. While your background matters, your suffer, all those experience, challenges, constraints you experience, while it matters, but then you should demonstrate, you should reflect those stories from the point of strength, not you just telling them what have you been able to do despite those challenges, struggles, what have you been able to do. This is what they want to see. Tell them value. You can't just be receiving. What have you been doing in your community? What impact have you been doing as young leader or student? Because just as you said, scholarship looks at different criteria while reviewing the essay. There are some scholarship that they want to hear your story. Yes, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Real World Solid Dream Foundation. They don't care about your 5 point. They don't care about your posters. They just want you to be an average student, but you should be able to demonstrate that need, that yes, you are truly deserving the scholarship. Why some scholarship they care much about your academic excellence? Why some they are just they are cocktails of everything? They want you to be a bright student, they want you to be indigent, they want you to have leadership skills, they want you to have even make impact in your community. What are you doing differently beyond your academics? What other things are you doing? And I'm glad you all have learned a lot from this session, and definitely you guys will have, one or two questions to ask our speaker, and I believe he is ready to entertain those questions. Thanks once again, Mr. Success, for the wonderful presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Before I give the floor open for questions, I saw one question in the chat box. Somebody was asking me how I was able to, you know, do the hyperlink. Yeah, so the hyperlink is easy. On Microsoft Word is quite easy. So what you're going to do, you can just type the word see here, like I wrote see here, and then highlight it. Then the top of your Microsoft Word where you see your font style, font size, whatever, whatever, whatever. Click on insert. If you click on insert, you'd see a place where you can click on link. So once you click that, you can paste the Google Drive link in there, and then the Google Drive link will now be inside that see here text. I don't know if you understand me. So, and it's best that you convert your documents to PDF so that it's more easier for you to access, and there's no distortion in your formatting. Yes. So I don't know who is going to be moderating the questions, but I'm going to leave the floor back to you, Mr. Warren. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bassi will take over. Mr. Bassi, are you on the call?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm sorry, my network went off for a bit. So I'm sure we all have one at least a few questions. It was a wonderful, wonderful session, I have to say. Thank you so much, Mr. Success. I have a lot. Just before my network went off, I had a lot written down. From the do's and don'ts to not writing would I say a cliche hook. Thank you so much for that wonderful session. So please, if you have a question to ask, would be using hands raised and comments. So we'll take one person who has their hands raised, and then we'll take someone who has their question in the comments. So you can use any of both means. I think I can already see a hand up. So let me get that name. So Bello or Lawale, please can we have your question?
You so much. Yeah, my name is Bilo Abdulmalik Olali. I'm a 300 level civil engineering student. All right, thank you so much for the wonderful session, Mr. Success. Now, my question goes to sir. Like for most of the scholarship opportunities we used to see, like how can I prepare most of my essays ahead? Like probably most of the scholarships usually ask different word counts for the essay, right? Like how can I prepare maybe 150 words draft, 200 words draft, 250 words draft, 500 words draft, and 1,000 words draft, so that anywhere or anytime I see the opportunities, I'll be able to apply swiftly but smartly. Yeah, thanks so much for that. And there was this staff framework you mentioned why you are mentioning about how to write the leadership space for the paragraph two. Like, can you reiterate how you explain the situation, task? Do you get my question, sir?
Oh yeah. I get your question. I very much get your question. So, I'm going to start with your last question. Okay. I'm going to start with your last question. Star framework, as I mentioned earlier, refers to the S stands for situation, the T stands for task, the A stands for action, and then the R stands for result. So, my point in explaining this was just to show you how to present when you're talking about leadership experiences, to show you how to present it. You understand? So let's say you are a leader and one of your leadership experience is helping, let me say helping young children. Or let me use one I had in an interview recently. Uh, Educating young female girls on dangers of infections, menstrual hygiene, health, education, and all that. So the situation, how she presented it, and that's the perfect way to express it, is she mentioned the situation, which is she acknowledged that there were quite a lot of female children in her community that had little to no knowledge about menstrual health, menstrual hygiene, and all that. Their parents were not helping because they felt like menstruation is gross. She stays in the northern part of um, Nigeria, so they felt like, oh, the menstruation part is gross. For guys. Sorry, hold on. I need to put somebody on mute. Sure. Thank you. For guys, they feel like since it's not their business, so they don't want to talk about it. So what she did was she and her team, they went secondary school to secondary school to talk about this, make sure that there's ample knowledge about menstrual health, menstrual hygiene, the importance of it. She talked about the task, that her task, which was the objectives I talked about, was to educate them and also help them with free menstrual pads at the end of the day. So the action was what she did in relation to this task that she set out to do. And then the result was that at the end of the day, she had impacted over 100 of female students because she had support from external organizations as well. So this is a perfect way to represent it. In your essay, you can put that, in my community, there were quite a number of students, or quite a large amount of female students who had zero to little to no knowledge about menstrual health and hygiene. I and my team set out to the secondary schools to educate them, and at the end of the day, we had close to 100 students with great menstrual knowledge, as well as what was it called? As well as us being able to give them free menstrual pads. So I hope that answers your question. And then for the second question, I'm trying to be fast as possible. Some scholarships open every year, so the eligibility criteria barely change. So what you should do, keep on going to their website, get information on the eligibility criteria of the last year, or contact previous scholars, ask them what the scholarship is about, what they look for, and all that. And then when you get all that information, put it down, write it down, all that. And for someone that just asked in the chat box, yes, you can also use a Google Doc for the hyperlink. Google Docs as well. So thank you, Mr. Bell. I hope I answered the question.
Okay. Our
Thank you.
next hand up, I think, Mr. Bello, you can put your hands now. I think the next hand up is Abdul. Yeah, so Abdul, ask your question.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Sampson, for the wonderful presentation. I really enjoy your explanation. Thank you very much, sir. So my question, I have two questions. The first one, please, can you quickly help us differentiate between SOP, statement of purpose, then motivation letter and essay when it comes to application? That's the first one. Then the second one, when you are presenting, you talk about uh, putting all together our pictures, our certificates, and everything in a folder in Google Drive, then copying the link as an hypertext in our application. That's the major problem I'm having. I know how to collate all the results in the Google folder, but how do I copy that link and put it in something like you did in your essay? So I don't get that part. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Sorry, who just asked the question?
Abdul.
Okay, Abdul.
Hello, hello, please. Do you get my question?
Yes, I got your question. So I think the last question you asked was about how I was able to do the hyperlink. I think I explained it a few minutes ago. So the easiest way to do it is just to type the words see here or check out here. But I think the one that works best is see here, SEE space HERE. Then once you type see here, align it, just align it. Then once you've aligned it, if you are using Microsoft Word, click on Insert. If you see Insert, you see a place for link or hyperlink or whatever it is they call it in your version of MS Word. Then you will see a place to put the text to show and then the link. So once you paste the link there, it will appear there. You understand? So, but this is not compulsory. As I said, you can only put it when it's going to help you show more than ordinary words can. You understand? When you feel like, oh, you have a lot of things to showcase that, your words cannot do justice to it, then you just input it so that whoever it is can peruse it and just like see that, oh, this person actually has quite a number of things to do. So please, could you mind repeating your first question? I've actually,
Okay, so thank you for that
yeah.
first one. My first question rather was about motivation letter, essay, and personal statement when it comes to
Okay.
application. What's the difference?
Oh yeah.
SOP,
All right. All right.
they will say statement of purpose, then essay, then motivation.
Okay. Yeah. So these things are quite similar, but they are different in some aspects. I'll start motivation letter. Motivation letter mostly are usually used in aspect of admissions committee, maybe applying for university abroad or even in Nigeria here, or a PG's a research assistant role or something. Motivation letter is how you show your journey from when you started up to where you are now. And the context matters because for motivation letter, they're not really looking for your personal story. They're not looking for your which financial challenges you've had. No. What they want to hear, what is motivating you or motivated you to even study what you study in undergraduate, what is bringing about your research, the research gap you aim to address, how do you aim to address it, and how will this program at that university help you address that research gap? Simple. So if it's not about research, you can turn it in the other way. Okay, it's just in quotes, why do you want to come and study this course? So in motivation letter, you don't want to be talking about how you suffered, you have this leadership experience. They don't want to hear all those ones. Motivation letter mostly focus on just academics. What have you been doing in your academics? What do you want to do in your academics? Why are you choosing this school? Why are you choosing this program? Why are you choosing this scholarship at this point in time. So context matters. For personal statement, it's where you are talking about the journey of your life. Right from when you've experienced all you've experienced, and then you cannot throw in your academic performance or credentials, then your leadership experience, your community involvement, all that. You can throw all that into what's it called? Personal statement. You get so that's the difference between personal statement and motivation letter. For SOP, some people mix it with personal statements, and because sometimes they look alike, but statement of purpose, which is SOP, is simply asking you that, okay, how would you describe yourself as a student, and how do you see this scholarship or this program helping you in your journey as you progress to where you want to be? So that's the best way I would describe it. So once you are writing, know that, okay, you have to describe yourself, academically, the problem you've identified in your field, the problem identified in your field, what you want to do to solve it, and how that scholarship will be helping you on your way. And then if it's a international scholarship, of course, you can always put something that will show your commitment to your home country. Maybe you put something that, okay, after you're done with your studies, you come back to Nigeria to do this, do this, do this, and help your country as well. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Abdul.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so I don't know, Mr. Moderator, I don't know. Could you please take the next question? I'm currently running out of time.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for the breakup there. The next question here, I think I'm taking a question from the chat bot now, and it
Okay.
says, my question is if it's a good idea to include personal faith or a Bible verse in an essay instead of a conventional quote. Have you seen this effectively done, especially if it's an international opportunity?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So I think honestly, it depends on you as a person what you're comfortable with. Personally, I don't feel like your choice of faith is going to affect you as much because most scholarship bodies try to be inclusive and diversified as much as possible. I think in my cohort we had uh people from different countries, different races, some white, some black, some mixed. Talking about MRF now, and we also have someone who is deaf as well, showing you how much of inclusiveness. And some of them are straight, some of them are gay, some of them are atheists, some of them are religious, and all that. So it just depends. There are a lot of characters. So you cannot even say that because you are a Muslim or because you're a Christian, it's not important. Actually, it's not important. So what you should be asking yourself is that the Bible text you want to include in your essay, does it have a follow-up? How are you going to follow it up? So from a Bible text, because I've actually used it for somebody. I think somebody sought my help in helping her write an essay, and I used that hook for her. She studied physiotherapy, I think, and I used a passage from the Bible to give her the hook as well. So it depends on what they're trying to achieve. You cannot just use something random without having something to follow through. I hope you understand. So yeah, so if you think a Bible verse is your best place to go for it. And if you're a Muslim, you can also try to use something from the Quran, although you have to translate it in English because I think writing in any language without translation is a red flag. So you try to, even if it's not an exact quote, you can make a reference to what the Quran says, as something that backs up where you're heading to. I hope you understand.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that response. I think the next question, just before I take the last person who has their hands raised, is on the chat box, and it says, sometimes I write my essays and then ask ChatGPT to help with any grammatical errors, flow, and coherence. But I heard that doing that reduces your chance of being picked. What do you think, sir? And for the VCs list, is this a thing at all federal universities or just your university? The success.
Yeah, I just noticed.
Am I being better?
Yeah, I heard you. Sorry, I was on mute earlier. All right, so to answer your question, first of all, the VCs list, honestly, I have no idea if it's something that is applicable for all federal universities or, just my university, because uh, for me, I think it was even much more bigger in my university. There used to be a whole scholarship around it. Once you are on a first class degree, your school fees will be refunded to you. But the school started saying that more people started having first class, and they knew that it's going to be a problem because the more they refunded first class people's school fees, the number of first class kept doubling. So they stopped the aspect of refunding first class students their school fees. So they just left it as, they're going to just put you on the VCs list and all that. But I'm pretty sure that, if not a VCs list, it's called a dean's list in your school. So some schools call it dean's list. So anyone it is, whichever one it is, you can use it to support your application. Just write that, oh, I'm on this list for so years, so semesters, and whatever. Some schools used to send letters across to you in effect of that and all that. But my school used to give an award and refunding your school fees and all that. I think there was a time free hostel was also included, although I didn't take that offer. For your second question, one thing with AI is that AI, I don't call it a thief of ideas, but if you feed your text into AI and you copy that text back from AI, trust me, that text is no longer yours. That text is now AI's. If you go and read all the terms and conditions around AI, you'll notice that there's a clause inside this that says that, oh, whatever you give to AI and it refurbishes and gives you back, it's no longer your property, but the property of that AI that's giving it back to you. So, and AI generated text or AI modified text, they come with their own little markers. You're not going to be able to see them. The only people that are going to see them are people that use these AI scanners to scan them, and they'll notice that, oh, your write-up has both mixture of human and AI written words. And it's not going to help you because now the reviewer is not going to know whether you actually wrote a part of this thing yourself and then just fed it to Gemini or Grok to help you correct the errors. It's not going to do that. So they're just going to feel that, oh, you just try to cheat. So what I would suggest is, if at all you, for some reason, put your stuff in AI to help you correct grammatical errors, don't copy the text directly from AI. Just put your document and the corrections AI gave you side by side and look through. Any correction you see from the AI, manually type it. Use your hand to type it. So in that way, you're avoiding that marker from AI text. I hope you understand, because I also made use of it when applying for Education USA, which I got shortlisted for. I use it to correct my grammatical errors because I think that was before somebody gave me the login to Grammarly Premium. So, but don't copy and paste. Just use your hand and manually adjust the correction. So that's what I'm going to say, because AI markers always comes with AI text, whether the original text was from you or from AI itself. Thank you. Mr. Moderator, are you with us, sir? Sorry, you're on mute, Mr. Bassi.
Oh, I didn't realize it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the next question, I think is this okay? The next question is okay. The next question is still about AI and Grammarly AI. They're asking about the Grammarly AI you just mentioned. What's your take in using Grammarly AI to reduce grammatical errors? Because I do copy and paste after, and it has reduced.
I think for Grammarly is safe to some extent, because what it does is just similar to what Qbolt does. I mean, people that have
Errors.
yeah, people that use Qbolt to understand, they just help you reduce errors. They're not really helping you to rewrite or to really really add. They're just helping you to reduce errors. So just say it's safe, but using generative AI is where the problem comes in. I hope you understand. So. But if you still want to be 100% safe and show that, oh, when they scan your work, it's showing that 100% human, you can just do what I suggested earlier, making sure that, you just manually correct the stuff on your end, making sure that your writing is free of AI intrusion.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I don't think we have any other questions, and our time is really, really fast spent. So I think we would be concluding. Please, are there any other questions? Okay, with no further questions.
Yes, I think there's a
No, this who is that? Okay. Comfort HSA. Please go ahead with your question. And this, please, this is the final question we'll be taking. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My question is concerning a particular scholarship, the Wells Mountain Initiative Scholarship. Thank you so much for all the advice and thank you so much for all the information you have shared so far. I've taken notes and I'm currently even writing an essay and editing one of my essays for a scholarship. So for the part where they give you a something like if you were to solve a particular project or a community project, what would it be and how would you execute it? What is your advice for such essays? How do we write it? What would give us an edge? What would be the winning phrase? An example of a hook phrase that would just blow their minds, because I know people would give a cliche community project proposal and write up, and I can do that. I just need the edge. What would make me stand out? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Comfort. That's a really, really good question. So, as I mentioned at the start of my talk, you have to know yourself. You understand? You have to know yourself and know your strengths. So, knowing that, it will be easy for you to know how to start when it comes to writing an essay or writing about a project or a community project you want to be involved in. So for me, I would say that your best bet is to do something close to your heart. And a mistake most people make is, trying to go for something flashy, is trying, big, and they forget that in true sense, it might not be obtainable. I'll give another example. I interviewed someone for an RTF scholarship. I think that was 4 days ago, 5 days ago. And the guy was quite smart. And when we asked him about, community involvement and all that, and he was like, oh, when he was younger, that his younger sister had an accident with a candle, which nearly set the whole house ablaze, and that motivated him to go into electrical engineering. And his aim is to make sure that the whole Nigeria has solar panels in their house. And I on the other interviewers were like, well, that's really commendable, but it's not realistic, to be honest, because there's a difference between something that's commendable and something that is actually achievable. Not trying to sound pessimistic, but take it from this angle. A couple of I think that was last year in the United Nations meeting. They kept talking about world hunger, world hunger, world hunger. And then the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, came up and said, okay, you're talking about world hunger. How much will I give you to solve world hunger? And then somebody in the UN said, okay, 20 billion. You can go and look this up. 20 billion. I said, okay, you mean if I give you $20 billion now, you solve world hunger? And they'll be like, oh, no, no. Meaning that they already know that it's not something that is really achievable because there are a lot of factors that are out of their hands. Talking about Nigeria, for instance, now, even if they give Nigeria $20 billion to solve hunger in Nigeria, we all know how it's going to end. You understand? So it doesn't have to be something really spectacular. Look for something. It might be something as little as addressing, the blocked canals or blocked sewage systems in your community. It's a little project that you can do if it's within your capacity. It might be something as little as providing mosquito nets for the, families in your neighborhood. Maybe in your neighborhood, you only have like 20 families, and you can provide mosquito nets for each of them. You are solving a problem, which is helping to prevent malaria. Like, malaria is still heavily prevalent in Nigeria, and by your actions, you are helping to solve a problem. So how you approach it, I can't really advise you on, a hook or something, but just make sure that whatever it is you're writing is something that is, number one, achievable. Number two, don't try to be heroic because you might start writing things that, are not really true just to impress whoever is reading it. Write something that you believe, truly, truly, truly believe that you can achieve. You understand? And then maybe I can give you a tip when you're writing, just try to talk about the problem first, talk about the impact the problem has had. Like in the idea I mentioned about sharing mosquito nets, you can talk about the lives mosquito and malaria has claimed. You can give a figure, a statistic from WHO about the amount of young children that die yearly from malaria. And then you can talk about the problem, what causes it, how the government has failed because, mosquito nets, should be part of the things that governments are doing to prevent, malaria spread. And then you can now talk about what you will come in to do as a individual, you Comfort, what you do, what you aim to achieve, and the impact, the result you aim to see by virtue of what you have contributed. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Mr. Success in the BC. I personally learned a lot from that. First of all, I have to talk about something that I'm passionate about, that's like close to my heart. And then I also have to take into consideration that it has to be achievable, it has to be measurable. So thank you so much for that response. I think at this moment we'll be drawing the curtains for today's program. Um, I don't know if the speaker can give us a way we can contact him after this, probably your email or your LinkedIn, however we can reach you if we have further questions. I also know that if you have any other questions concerning this session, the session recording will be sent. I don't know exactly when, but the team would definitely send the recording of this session to the community group. And also, definitely, as usual, and questions you have could also be placed on the community group and they will be directed to Mr. Success. So, Lisa, do you have any way we can reach you that can be shared here?
Yeah, I just dropped my WhatsApp number on the
Okay,
chat
yes,
box actually. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, sir. Right now, I would be
yeah. All right, so before you go on, please, I just want to ask your kind permission to drop off the call. I need to attend to something really quickly.
okay. Okay, please go ahead, sir. Thank you
All
very,
right,
very
thank
much.
you very much. Thank you all for your attention. I really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. So I would be handing over to the founder right now to pass an information just before, or he would be doing the drawing of the curtain for tonight's webinar. So please, Warwick, you
Oh,
have
thank
the
you so
floor.
much, my distinguished moderator, and to our dear members. I congratulate you all for making it to this section. As you can see, this is definitely impactful, and then it really go a long way in supporting your application, because a good essay is a key to unlock many opportunities. So thank you once again for making it to this session. So I would just like to pass some information. One, the turnout for this section was actually discouraging. Sincerely, it was totally discouraging. We have over 300 plus members in our group, but then we only have roughly 50 to 55 people join this call, which is quite discouraging. But nevertheless, it's fine. But what I can just say is that those I passed the attendance link for people to fill. But believe me, those that actively participate in this section will be given priority regarding their essay review. Because I've over the past 3 weeks, people do send me their essay to review, and I've been doing that. But I will actually prioritize the list of those people that actively participate in this section. And for the material will be made available for everyone. The recording, I actually promised not to share the recording to the general group, but then I will share it. But the list I have for this section will be prioritized, and those members will be given special consideration with regards to the essay review and support from us. And also, I would like to notify you all that we will be launching our application tracking system form tonight or maybe early tomorrow. And as I said, I've discussed this earlier on with you guys that this form is for you to update us regarding your progress so far for this month. How many applications have you applied? Which one are pending? Those that are pending, the one that you've won, or maybe certifications you've earned. And you also want to see proof of evidence, maybe the certificate after completing the course, or maybe the confirmation mail after enrolling. Whatever screenshot you have. Though some people made raise some complaint that they were not keeping screenshot of the application. Even if it is one that you have, we'll take it for now. But subsequent months will be very strict with proof of submission. You can't just tell us you applied to 15 opportunities and you don't even have any proof to back it up. So we are so concerned about your progress, and this data, this monthly data we are taking, will guide us to know what are the challenges you are facing, so that we can tailor our future workshop. Oh, you guys are missed this part. We need to fill this gap here. It will really guide us. So this is just a little information I want to pass across. If there is anyone that is yet to fill the attendance, kindly stay on this call. I will paste the link again so that you can fill the form and you'll be captured on the list. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you so much, our founder, Sawari. So, I'll be taking the benediction, like we like to call it in church, and I want to thank each and every one of you for staying through this session. I hope you have learned because I personally have learned about my personal essays, personal statement essays, and scholarship essays that we thank you for taking out time. I know it has been quite a session. We've been on since about 4:30 and it's over the 2 hour mark now. But thank you for remaining patient. Thank you for staying true with us. I would also like to say a big thank you to the speaker in absentia and every member of the founding team, the pioneer team, who is currently on the call for making this session possible. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. So bye-bye, everybody.
I think we can all exit the call now. But if there's anyone that is yet to fill the attendance, you can just stay by. Then I will drop it again on the chat box. And I also look forward to reading you guys' reflection regarding this workshop